Respectable, responsible, I heard you say, and
remarkable.
So we're going to do something that, in my opinion, is totally remarkable. Okay? And luckily for us, the VR kits are back.
Yay!
We have not used the VR kits this 2 months. We've used them in Diamond the Disc, but that's it. We haven't been using them because of the whole COVID thing, and I thought it would be uncomfortable for you guys to use that while you had your masks on. Wasn't sure if we were going to have masks or not today, but we do have masks today. So let me just go ahead and start this process by letting you know what we're going to do. So y'all are reading a read aloud right now with your teacher, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is that? Is the title 9/11?
Ground Zero.
Ground Zero. The book is called Ground Zero, and it occurs on 2 dates, because there's 2 different stories going on, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What's one of the dates?
9/11, 2001.
9/11, 2001, and who is involved in the story for 9/11, 2001? Brandon. And he gets himself in a little bit of school trouble, and he has to go to work with his dad, correct? When he gets to work with his dad, he sneaks out to go get that glove, right? And he gets in an elevator, and what happens while he's in that elevator?
He got stuck. Plane bomb.
A plane hits the World Trade Center. But sometimes when you guys are looking at history, you kind of pay attention to the points, but you forget about the emotion behind it. So your teachers do an amazing job. How many people think this story is really cool that you're reading right now? Right? But this really happened to people. So your teacher's giving you the story to make that connection, so that you're making a connection to the history, so that the history is no longer boring, so the history means something to you. Has anybody gone to New York City? Have you gone to New York City and seen the memorial to 9/11? When you went, did you have a history behind what had happened? As you're reading the story, are you making more connections to that memorial now? And thinking, wow, this is amazing. One of the boys in the last class was like, I've been there, I just never thought of it this way. He kind of walked with his parents, and it really affected his parents, but it didn't affect him as much. Because you guys didn't have that experience. So what we're going to do today is we're going to give you that experience. We're not going to give you the experience, thank God, that Brandon had, but we're going to give you the experience of going up to the World Trade Center prior to the airplanes. You're going to go in and you're going to go up to the top of the World Trade Center, and you're going to overlook off the observation tower, take you via virtual reality to the memorial. So for those of you that weren't able to raise your hand, you're going to actually go through the memorial. When you get into the Google Earth story, you're going to say it says Ground Zero Connections. We're making connections to the Afghanistan part of the story. I'm taking you to Kabul, which is the biggest city in Afghanistan. That's their capital. And I want you to look at it, and I want you to talk about it with your classmates. I want you to see, compared to the World Trade Center where we're going, that's the biggest city in this country. Just look at how the differences between and similarities between the cities. Explore away, but also when you're in the present mode, you'll notice that there's pictures. When you go to Asadabad, there's a quote that I give you right there. And then there's pictures of what life is like. So you are welcome to look through those pictures also. You'll see, I don't think you're to this point yet in your story, but you'll see when Rashima starts talking about how the houses are built. Okay? So this is, our goal is for you to make that connection today. All right? Now, a lot of times when you're in school, you're encouraged to shh and do it and shh and do it. You can talk. I want you to talk with the people at your tables. I want you to talk about what you're seeing. I want you to make the connections to the story. This is before the attacks. If your headset does not work, just raise your hand.
What do we need to
Go. You have to keep it up to your head.
Oh my gosh, swearing.
I'm coming.
Oh yeah.
I'm singing to throw up.
If the virtual reality part is going to make you nauseous, you can look right up here at the TV.
No, wait, how do I Mine's changing.
Get a Chloe.
Wow, this doesn't even want to turn on. Flashing. Okay, yours is working. You just gotta hold it up to your face.
Miss Powers.
Get changed in your own bed. Which are so cool, and you're doing Google Earth. But the reason,
Just so you can have an extra experience there. For you guys participating in Afghanistan, are you checking it out? Well, are you zooming in and looking at the land?
What the heck?
I feel like I can just like fall off the tower.
Pakistan people, if you hold shift and one of the arrow keys, you change the perspective. Did you know it's
This one is honestly the best. Look, I can see you.
Alright. You guys ready for the memorial now? Well, the headsets are on. We are now, you're looking at One World Trade Center. This is one of the rebuilt buildings.
I think it's still black.
It's so good.
Okay, and you might want to.
Look at the top. Look at the top of the tower. What the heck is happening? Wait, look up.
Are you touching the button? Alright, why don't you just jump in over here with these guys, and then when we swap out between the headsets, I'll give you another headset. Things are getting there. And that's what we're gonna do next.
If we look
You can watch up here. It keeps dying.
We're at Memorial.
Yeah, well, these are videos that you're looking at through this program that
it looks a bit different on my we did it as a live down, but she was my life. Hey!
if you're using the headsets and they are making you a little dizzy, you're welcome to just look up here and see what we're looking at.
You're making me.
So we're gonna look for about another minute. So check out Afghanistan for another minute.
I don't know. I'm walking Don't judge me.
This little area, and then when you go out of these cities, you go into the mountains, it's a lot different.
If you look down, there's like
Yeah, you guys are sharing. Here, and you're doing, you're in here exploring. You hit shift, and the up and down arrows, it changes the angle that you're looking. So you can see a different perspective.
I took 99 damage. Sheila, are you
since the time
Alright, so what we're gonna do is while you guys go to lunch, I'm gonna go ahead and charge these up because we've been having some die and that's why. So thank you to those of you that swapped over and went to Afghanistan. I appreciate that. It was a really super quick trip for you to go from New York City to Afghanistan, but you did it very quickly. Thank you for getting my joke. Alright, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna only watch just the beginning of the memorial.
I saw that thing.
So that's the elevator motor. You guys were with Brandon when the elevator slammed down, right? Fell a little bit. That's what the motor would have looked like. You guys ever heard of the word empathy?
Yes.
What does empathy mean?
Putting yourself in other people's shoes.
Yes, putting yourself in other people's shoes. When you're reading this book, right? You're reading this history. Were you guys here in 2001? No. How can you put yourself to understand what Brandon went through, what these other people went through when you weren't even here? It's just another story, right? So your teacher giving you books like this, us giving you experiences like this, lets you make that story impact you a little bit more. Okay? So we're trying to give you a feeling of what Brandon was going through that day. But in our story, we also talked about another part of the world. Afghanistan. And we might not always agree with it, right? And where you guys are now in the story, I think Passoon has gone up into the mountains, and who's he looking for?
The Taliban.
The Taliban. Is although we love America and we love this part, we also want to have some understanding and some empathy for what Rashmina and Passoon are going through. And that's why we took you to Afghanistan today using Google Earth. The purpose of today was for you to get a little bit more of an experience that Brandon and Rashmina and Passoon are going through in their Ground Zero book. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is just think about this. This experience that you had today, is it helping you make a connection to what you're hearing in the book? See, so for some people they're saying it's really making a connection with Afghanistan, correct?
Yes.
Because you're getting to see where they live.
Yeah.
And even though we might be really angry with Passoon, imagine if he's not hearing what the rest of the world hears. And he's only hearing what one small group has to say about Americans. Am I saying that what he's doing is right? No. But can I understand why he would think that way?
Yes.
Right? So there was a quote on there that talked about walking in someone else's shoes. So today you got to walk just a little bit in Rashmina and Passoon's shoes. Okay? You guys are going to be asked to make a connection.